crazy power that he believes in. You know, he has a great chin too because he's a guy. You know, he'll let you get out punches, and he'll still be coming at you. And then once he catches you, you know, it's a wrap.
All-time greats. Crawford's one of the best switch hitters, I think, since Marvin Hagler, and one of the most skillful boxers alive.
He has very good skills. He's one of my favorite boxers. He able to.
Errol Spence Jr. was left absolutely astonished after witnessing Terence Crawford's latest training sessions for the highly anticipated showdown against Canelo Alvarez. Spence, having previously shared the ring with Crawford in a fierce battle, knows firsthand the depth of his abilities, yet he admitted even he was surprised by what he saw. He praised Crawford's extraordinary ring IQ, razor-sharp instincts, and complete mastery of the technical side of boxing. Observing the recent workouts, Spence described being mesmerized by Crawford's blistering hand speed, pinpoint accuracy, and footwork so fluid it looked like controlled lightning in motion. Reflecting on his memorable clash with Errol Spence, Terence Crawford spoke with respect and appreciation for their mutual skills, making it clear that there was no bad blood, only recognition of each other's elite capabilities. Crawford, famous for his patient and methodical style, explained that his approach revolves around gradually breaking down his opponents both mentally and physically, luring them into a trap before unleashing a sudden storm of precision punches. He highlighted how he prefers to study and control the pace of a fight before delivering the kind of explosive, decisive combinations that end contests in his favor.
Hard does Spence hit?
He didn't hit that hard.
Well, he never caught you that clean. That was probably the best shot he landed.
No, he caught me a couple of times, but you know, I was surprised at how hard he didn't hit. Really? Given that everybody say, oh, he's a big puncher, he's this. I think he's just a volume puncher. I think he just wears opponents down. Just wear him down. I don't think, you know, he has a one-punch knockout. He have power, but it's not like, you know, boom, sleep. You know what I mean? I think it's like, bam, oh, boom, 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 boom. Then he just wear you down.
Right, yeah. That is a difference, right?
Because if you look at his career, you never seen him, like, knock nobody out with one punch. You never see him, you know, dropping nobody with one punch. You always see him, like, wearing them down. That's why he goes so hard to the body, because he want to wear you down. Then once you get tired and once your body start weakening, everything start weakening, and those little punches that wasn't hurting start hurting.
Former world champion and respected boxing analyst Chris Algieri offered an insightful comparison between Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Algieri noted that Crawford's career has been defined by dominance, controlling nearly every bout he's been in and forcing opponents to fight his fight. In contrast, Canelo has had moments where he was clearly pushed out of his comfort zone, what insiders refer to as being bossed in the ring. Algieri pointed to the Canelo vs. Dimitri Byal bout as a perfect example, where Byal's superior size, disciplined jab, and tactical patience dictated every aspect of the fight. He argued that although Crawford will be moving up in weight, his style, built on control, adaptability, and technical brilliance, has historically caused major problems for even the most seasoned champions.
Terence Crawford, who do you think can be the boss that night? When you talk about these two guys, you talk about two guys, number one, you can't boss me around. Yep. Two guys, you can't even look at me a certain way without me feeling some type of way. These guys now have set their sights on one another. Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Obviously, we know the weight difference, but we've seen Crawford, looks like he's coming up slowly to that weight class and kind of acclimating himself in real time. How do you see that fight playing out?
You know, we're still pretty far away from that fight, and I'm going to hold my complete analytics on that, but I'll tell you this.
Contrast and compare, maybe not a pick.
But I'll tell you this. I've seen Canelo pushed around. I've never seen Terence pushed around. So when you're talking about who's going to be the boss, I've never seen anyone boss Terence Crawford. I've seen Canelo get bossed. So And psychologically, when you think about that, and this is a fight where I flip-flop on both guys because there's so many good points. Yeah, but he's 168. Yeah, but it's Terence Crawford. He's undefeated. Well, yeah, no, this guy's beating this, but stylistic. Even he hits him on the arm. There's so many different things you can talk about. But from a psychological standpoint, who's fresher, who's meaner, who wants it more? That's going to come into play.
As a boxing fan, how much fun is it to see those two attitudes come together? It's kind of like the unstoppable force versus the immovable object getting ready to collide.
I've worked a lot of Canelo fights, and Canelo fight weeks are great. He plays to the crowd really well. His fans are awesome. I'm thinking about the Caleb Plant situation. I'm thinking about the Billy's Joe Saunders situation. When he gets that in his head that he's got an extra chip,
Veteran commentator Max Kellerman gave a balanced yet pointed breakdown of the upcoming fight. While acknowledging that both fighters bring unique strengths, Kellerman leaned toward Crawford as the sharper, more complete package based on recent performances. He emphasized Crawford's impeccable timing, rare ability to switch stances fluidly mid-fight, and devastating knockout power, all of which have reached their peak in the last few years. Conversely, Kellerman observed subtle signs of decline in Canelo, less fluid movement, a slightly reduced work rate, and a greater reliance on controlled pacing rather than constant aggression. Still, he admitted Canelo's size and physicality could be decisive in close exchanges, but when weighing speed, precision, defense, and adaptability, Crawford appeared to have the edge.
Punching. But overall, I have to say Crawford. If you go down the list and ask me about tactical advantages, most of them are Crawford. What Canelo has is size, and as a result, physical strength and punching power. Canelo also has a great chin. But in terms of, if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford. But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton than Crawford. No matter what they weigh, Canelo's the bigger guy.
Yeah. You briefly mentioned Canelo's power, so who I would assume Canelo has the
You'd have to think, unless Crawford, Crawford was on a knockout streak until he moved up to junior middleweight and then failed to stop Madrimov. So, and Canelo, though he has not stopped anyone in a while, we've seen he's a real puncher at 68.
As far as speed, who has a better speed?
You would imagine Crawford, given the fact that he is the naturally small.
The strategic dynamics of this mega fight are captivating. Crawford is entering unfamiliar waters by stepping up in weight, a move that often challenges a fighter's speed, stamina, and durability. Canelo, while experienced at the super middleweight level, no longer displays the same explosive bursts he was known for in his prime. In recent bouts, he has shifted toward a more conservative style, focusing on control rather than high-pressure knockouts. This evolution in Canelo's approach could narrow the gap, making the contest more even than many assume. If Crawford can bring his trademark footwork, unmatched fight IQ, and endurance into the ring, there is a very realistic path for him to claim victory.
For Canelo, obviously at 168, he has been a bit of the smaller man at that weight class, and in the last couple of years has had trouble finishing opponents and getting guys out of there like he would have at 160 or 154. So you have a bit of a duality there. Both guys coming into this fight in the, let's say, twilight of their careers, or maybe twilight of their primes, however you want to look at it. Canelo is going to be, I think, 35. Terence is 38. So you have a similar situation, different paths, and different struggles for both fighters. But when you look at who has to do more in this fight, it's clearly Terence Crawford, as far as what he's giving up and sacrificing to win this third undisputed championship and to try to beat Canelo, who has only been beat twice in his career, one of which was Floyd Mayweather being slick and tagging Canelo with counter punches when Canelo missed, being the smaller, lighter fighter and up there in age that was still able to take advantage of the youth and experience of Canelo Alvarez, but also just being a defensive maestro and able to counter off of that. Floyd is one of one. And then you have Dimitri Byal, who was the bigger fighter, and the things that Canelo does very well didn't really hurt him too bad, right? The things that had carried Canelo up in division was his power and the ability to break an opponent down, maybe not stopping them in the early to mid part.
Rising boxing star Abdullah Mason expressed bold confidence in Crawford, predicting not only a win but an outcome that could shock the boxing world. Mason dismissed the widespread assumption that Canelo's larger frame automatically makes him the more powerful man in the ring. He argued that Crawford's timing, use of angles, and ability to land clean, unexpected shots can produce knockout-level power that catches opponents completely off guard. Mason predicted that if Crawford lands with precision repeatedly, especially in the championship rounds, he could change the course of the fight in stunning fashion.
I'll say Canelo Crawford, your prediction quickly.
Canelo Crawford. I got faith that Crawford could take it. I feel like Crawford, he might surprise some people with his strength. So it all depends on who's the better fighter.
Dimitri Byal, the man responsible for one of Canelo's most recent and decisive losses, added his voice to those backing Crawford. Having watched Crawford up close, Byal praised the way he's bulked up physically while maintaining his sharpness and agility. He explained that Crawford's discipline, quickness, and intelligence are exactly the qualities needed to defeat Canelo, and he knows this because he's done it himself. Byval's endorsement carries significant weight, as it comes from someone who understands firsthand what it takes to dismantle the Mexican superstar inside the ring.
In Dubai, maybe a month ago, I saw him. He's big, and he has very good skills. He's one of my favorite boxers. He able to win this fight, but there is a lot of but, and even not but, there is a lot of things, small things, which we don't know how he will deal with this. He needs to get used to the power and pressure of 168, because it's different, big difference, to be honest. Maybe he will get used to it, and how he will be feeling himself on the same day when he will fighting, how his training camp will go on, a lot of things. But he's able, he has good skills, he's awkward, he can use two boxing stance. It gives him benefits, of course.
I was at that same event in Dubai just before Christmas, and I saw him too, and I thought exactly the same thing, which is that he is quite big.
Yeah.
Size obviously is important. Jamel Charlo stepped up from super welterweight to super middleweight to box Canelo, and it didn't work at all for him. But Crawford is, he's one of the best fighters in the world, isn't he? I mean, obviously.
Keith Thurman offered a technically rich analysis of the matchup, noting that casual fans might see this as a balanced fight, but the deeper tactical realities tell a different story. He referenced Canelo's recent fight with Jermall Charlo, in which Canelo visibly struggled when Charlo used movement, distance, and ring IQ to avoid exchanges. Thurman argued that Crawford, being even more calculated and adaptable than Charlo, could frustrate Canelo to an even greater degree, forcing him to chase without effectively landing.
And, you know, we ain't getting punched in the face, so let's just watch the show and enjoy, people. You know what I'm saying? Let's just watch what these champions do. No matter what they do, they're both great. They're both going to continue to be great, but by the end of the day, one will be above the other.
Your eyes?
It's not like, I think a lot of people are going to lean towards Canelo. I don't want to say it's like, I feel like for the fans, it's coming off 50-50. Like it's hard for me to really commit, because this is what happened, right? When Canelo just fought the Charlo, right? When he just fought Charlo, he knocked Charlo down. But after he knocked Charlo down and Charlo was using ring movement, he never hit Charlo with another big shot, okay? This is what Keith Thurman is watching. I I'm not saying like, oh, Canelo didn't do good. Like, Canelo dominated. That fight he dominated, right? But let's just pay attention to little details, right? After he got dropped, he never got hurt again. Why, you ask? Why did Canelo not hurt him again? Oh, because he was on his bike, because he was using lateral movement, because he was watching with his eyes, and because he was being, you know, attentive with his defense, and he was able to make Canelo miss, but he was not able to make him pay.
On his popular podcast, Joe Rogan, joined by comedian and boxing enthusiast Mike Vecchione, showered praise on Terence Crawford. Rogan described him as one of the greatest and most dangerous athletes in the sport, lauding his mental toughness, physical skill, and relentless dedication. He stressed that the Canelo bout is not just a massive test, but also a historic opportunity for Crawford's career, financially, in terms of legacy, and in solidifying his place among the all-time greats. Crawford himself acknowledged the size gap and the likelihood that Canelo would try to sap his energy with physical pressure. Yet, he expressed calm confidence, emphasizing his preparation for every possible scenario. His approach blends humility with unshakable self-belief, making him as dangerous mentally as he is physically.
Good, you know, work has been going great, and, you know, fight time, we're going to be prepared to put on a great show for you guys.
Has this been in your mind? We've been talking about it forever. Did you feel like this was eventually going to be the case, that you and Canelo were going to eventually get in there?
Not at all. Not at all. I didn't, you know, think it was, you know, a fight that he wanted. So I didn't really know. But, you know, thanks to Turkey, Al-Sheikh, he made it possible. And, you know, we got one of the biggest fights in the last decade, you know, happening at Allegiant Stadium, September 13th.
When you get in there, what do you expect? Everyone's going to make, you know, a size difference, but what do you expect when you get in there with Canelo?
I'm expecting Canelo to be Canelo. You know, he's the bigger man. I expect him to, you know, box a little bit, but I also expect him, you know, to try to walk me down and be the bigger man. So, you know, we expect everything in there.
I was looking it up, and I think the last time Bud Crawford was an underdog for a fight was the Prescott fight back in 2013. Any difference? Do you even pay attention to odds, or that doesn't matter to you when you step in there into the ring that night?
No, definitely don't matter. You know, the odds can't fight for him, so, you know, it is what it is.
Actor and martial artist Michael Jai White also threw his support behind Crawford. His reasoning was straightforward. Crawford has faced and defeated bigger men before, using strategy to strip away their size advantages. White believes this fight is just a larger stage with higher stakes, but the same tactical game plan that has served Crawford so well throughout his career will work again: calculated, vicious, and relentlessly precise execution.
So you would put your money on Crawford?
Yes.
You'd make money.
Okay.
Just put that out there.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think Crawford's going to beat him?
Because Crawford could find people to fight like Canelo, who is amazing. Canelo has just, oh my God, like he evolved. I saw how he evolved defensively and everything. I just don't think he's as fast as Crawford. And I think Crawford is just a little step ahead as far as movement is concerned. And so I think it's going to be Mayweather Canelo Part 2. That's what I think.
I mean, Canelo is naturally heavier.
Yeah, Crawford ain't gonna knock him out.
Huh.
But I don't know if Canelo's gonna land very solidly on Crawford.
Calvin Ford, trainer of Gervonta Davis, applauded Crawford's courage in accepting such a daunting challenge. He explained that stepping into a fight where the odds, weight, and physical threat lean heavily toward the opponent requires a unique mental and spiritual strength. Ford said that this is what separates Crawford from so many others: his relentless drive to chase greatness, even when the risks are extreme.
Last question for you. Crawford, Canelo, who wins? Man, both of them guys are great. I respect I respect Crawford to jump in and take a big fight like that, and that's what makes great fights, to see the big fights and wondering which side gonna win. But like I said, they say Canelo's the GOAT. I remember when Canelo fought Floyd, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like we're getting another chance at seeing Crawford.
Veteran trainer Robert Garcia gave a frank assessment of Canelo's current fighting style, noting a clear shift from knockout hunting aggression to a more measured, tactical approach designed to win rounds, conserve energy, and extend his career. Garcia suggested that while Canelo remains highly effective, this slower pace could leave him vulnerable if Crawford can control the tempo and exploit those lulls.
It's because Canelo doesn't go out for the knockout anymore. Canelo's just now, you know, we've seen in the last few fights, he just does enough to win. He did the same again, Munguia. He dropped Munguia, but then they didn't want to finish him. Charlo, Berlanga. He wants to cruise through the fight. You know, he's up there, you know, in not in age because he's only like 33 or 34, but he's
fighting since 15.
15. A lot of training camps, a lot of sparring matches. So all that takes a lot out of your body. So he takes care of his body too. So he doesn't go all out because he doesn't want to just finish his body. He knows he still has a few more years and a few big fights where he wants to take care of himself and not punish himself too much. That's why he hasn't been able to knock those guys out. Not because he can't. I think he just does enough to win. I think Shiraz also has great power, man. I think Shiraz.
That's all for today's breakdown of the Canelo versus Crawford mega fight. Stay tuned for more deep analysis and insider perspectives as the bout draws closer.